the Draw the Death Machine, Sammy Callahan, and you are watching and or listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. Thumbs up, thumbs down!
Rock Solid Wrestling makes its way back down the Mile of Gold and returns to Kirkland Lake, Ontario for the first time in 4 years. Saturday night, August 19th, live from the Northern College Athletics and Wellness Center, it's a night of fights in support of community living Kirkland Lake, featuring Canadian heavyweight champion Scotty the Body, Cody Diener, Crystal Moon, Tornado, and more. Get your tickets online at rocksolidwrestling.tickit.ca or in person at the Pronto store on Taylor Avenue. Rock Solid Wrestling is back in Kirkland Lake, Saturday, August 19th. Don't miss it.
Well, we are live, pals, and welcome to another edition of the Bill Apter Sealed of Approved Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. Except it is not counted out with Mike and Tyler this week. It is counted out with the name that I think we should have went with from day one. It is counted out with Tyler and Tyler today because I am joined by the one and only Saturday Night Delight, Tyler Tirva. Tyler, what's going on, man? Thanks for jumping on.
No problem, man. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, and I'm just happy that I finally got the Tyler and Tyler thing going here. So, Mike, you're out, bud. Like, that's it.
Yeah. Exactly. Tyler squared. Let's make it happen.
That's it, man. Well, we're here to talk about a lot of stuff today. I want to talk about your career because, dude, you are doing some awesome stuff, especially over the last couple months and over the last couple years. You've been everywhere. You've been doing everything. But I want to start with Rock Solid Wrestling because they are presenting punches, pile drivers, and pinfalls. It is coming to Kirkland Lake on Saturday, August the 19th at Northern College. This show is sponsored by Kirkland Lake Towing and Pinewood Park Motors, and 100% of the profits are going to the community living Kirkland Lake. So amazing stuff going on here. Rock Solid Wrestling is one of the most respected companies in all of Ontario. Let me just talk about your relationship with Rock Solid Wrestling and just how important they've been to your career.
Man, they've been more important than I probably ever really talked about. For me, I got quite a few opportunities with them. So as a company, they've been running for over 10 years. They're a company that a lot of people haven't heard of just because their shows run from essentially Barrie to north of Timmins. So it's a lot more from an Ontario wrestling scene standpoint. It's more of considered the small towns, but those small towns have some of the biggest draws. So we get some of the most amount of fans. We've done shows in Collingwood where we've got 950 and it's pretty regular there where it's minimum 650 every single year. We go up to Timmins and we're drawing anywhere from 400, 500, 600 depending on the year. And you don't have consistent crowds of that size in Ontario across the board. So even shows in Toronto, they're not always hitting those numbers. So Rock Solid Wrestling, they've been doing big crowds, but just like you said, they're gonna be giving 100% of the proceeds at the Kirkland Lake show to charity, and that's something that they've always donated. I want to say we've always raised anywhere at least about $1,500 as a bare minimum for pretty much every show that they've always ran. So they're well into. I don't even know how much money it's been now. I remember the last time I asked, it was well over the $40,000 or $50,000 mark that they've given to local charities in a lot of these small towns. So that which is also cool because all that money just ends up staying in those communities.
I love that too. Do you take a sense of pride being associated with a company like that does such great work like that? That must make you feel good and proud as well, right?
Absolutely. I remember there was a little boy who needed a special surgery. So we were running shows and the money went to him to help for his surgeries because he had a different type of disability that essentially he had to go to the States for it. And like to see the kid was, I think his name was Ethan, his first year, I believe he was only about 3 years old. And then we saw him, he came a couple years later. So we saw him when he was about 5. And then I think we saw him again when he was about 6 or 7. And just to like see how beneficial like those surgeries ended up being, and a lot of the money that were raised for those shows and Bracebridge and whatnot, like really helped go towards the surgeries. So it was pretty cool when you get to see how that money ends up being spent firsthand, and you just see like the joy in that kid's face, like from, I remember even when he was 3, and then like to see him be able to progress with like his walking and whatnot, like it's like, that's why we wrestle. Awesome. Like it's kind of hard to put into words. Like it's because it's such a visual
special,
thing, but
right?
It's super special. And it's definitely like you don't forget it because you remember how it made you feel that night.
100%. And 100% of the profits from this show are going to the Community Living Kirkland Lake. So another great cause out there. I'm sure you guys are going to be fired up and ready to roll once Showtime rolls around there on August the 19th. What is it, though, about Rock Solid Wrestling that is just a little bit different and stands out a little bit more than a lot of the other companies in the Ontario scene? You know, they have this kind of aura to them, this kind of vibe going on. Like what makes it so special?
It's very family friendly from start to finish. So you see a lot more, in my opinion. You see a great mix of guys that can wrestle more of like, you could say an old school, but with a new school kind of vibe or twang to it. But they also like essentially like we can all entertain, and we entertain, like we're making families smile. We're making non-wrestling fans become wrestling fans. And that's not necessarily cool to a lot of people, but like the interactions that you get when I'm sure like you have friends that aren't huge wrestling fans, and when they finally go to a show, they're like, oh my God, that was so cool. Or that guy was so good. Or like, even just like, I can't believe that guy said that, or made fun of that kid that way, or whatever it may be. Like there's always so many of those like little moments that really add up, and they build up over throughout the course of the show. And I just feel like that's something that Rock Solid is really good at delivering on.
Yeah, I love that you said that too, because like for myself personally, like I just started probably about 6 months ago doing the ring announcing up in Barrie for Barrie Wrestling. So I've had some of my friends that are non-wrestling fans come up to, oh, Tyler's been a lifelong wrestling fan, let's check it out. And they always leave the show going, that wasn't what I expected. Like that was incredible. Like that was really good. And I just think that like the independent scene right now, especially in Ontario, is just flourishing. Like when we take a look at the scene, like who are some names and talent that stand out for you that you enjoy getting in there and mixing it up with?
All right, some Ontario guys, definitely. This is always the hardest question for me because I always forget about people until and then we hang up from the call, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's those 3 other guys I like. So if I forget someone right now, I'm sorry. I'm sure it'll come up at another time. But I love tussling. I just had a good one with Alexander Del Bruno.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he's just back from his injury too, right? Yeah. So yeah, he's great. Yeah.
And I got to wrestle him in Hamilton, which is sweet. So That's his hometown. So I'd rather tangle with him when people think that he's a good person. Yeah, so that's okay. but we all know it was a real good guy that night. So they were the one that everyone was booing for. So
well, how about to take some of the heat off you? What if I mention a couple names to you that I have some interest in speaking about? One of my favorites and one of the guys that really hooked me into the Ontario scene is Tornado. I know he's a big part up there. Can you talk a little bit about Tornado and what he's done and meant for you and just kind of your interactions of working with him?
Absolutely. I actually just wrestled him on Friday for Oshawa Wrestling. So he is tremendous. Like he's 51. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't tell everyone. I
was trying to keep you out of heat here, man.
yeah, I'm feeling lukewarm now. So no, but he's always like he moves better than guys that are in their 30s. Like he's unbelievable. There's nothing that he can't do. He's an amazing storyteller. If you ever get to listen to a story from the guy on a personal note, but from a performer standpoint, like the amount that people just hate him is so tremendous. Like I could just watch, like even like in a match standing across from him, like I find myself where I'll get lost where I'm just watching and then I'm like, oh yeah, I better go punch him. But no, he's like top to bottom, like he's unbelievable. He's such a pro. He knows how to punch. He moves really well. And a couple weeks ago in Collingwood, he hit a coast to coast, like from one rope to the other to hit Salsa King, which was like unbelievable because his birthday was literally 2 days before. I was like, how's this guy doing this? Like, I can only do that as a character in a video game. Like, I can't do that in real life. So,
he's incredible. I love when I ever see Tornado's name on the card. I definitely know that we're getting our money's worth on that one. And another guy I'd like to talk to you about is a guy that you're pretty familiar with. You've tangled up with him a bunch in that Rock Solid ring as well, and that's one Mr. Diener.
Cody Diener.
Got to talk a little bit of Cody Diener there. What's your relationship like with Cody? How impactful has he been, and how knowledgeable is it to have a guy that talented in that locker room with you being in there as well?
Well, impactful is definitely the intended pun. I caught that one, so that was good.
That was actually an accident, but I'm gonna roll with it.
Yeah, no, he's definitely one of the best in Canada. I've been fortunate enough to wrestle him. I know it's well over 50 times, especially, I think we're close to 50 in just singles at this point. So I've wrestled him for so many different companies for so many different belts, but we've had some in Rock Solid that are just super special. And, including in Collingwood and in front of like the 950, that was 2016, I think it was. But yeah, there's been a lot of special ones with Cody and what he brings to the locker room. Like he's bringing a different set of skills, especially just like with the talent that he's had and being on TV and whatnot. And since Rock Solid wrestling shows have started over the years being produced by TV and they air on like local Cogeco and whatnot, he's always brought a lot of different points of view and from a production standpoint, but also just from a performer standpoint of like really making sure that things make sense and that you're stepping up your game. And I owe so much of my knowledge that I've been able to learn just from that many matches. Like that many matches with someone, you end up with such a completely different set of skills that other people don't have, because most people haven't wrestled someone. And once they're good, like I was able to wrestle Diener once he was already good, where like guys think they're good 5-6 years in, like your feet aren't even wet yet of getting going with this. And so, and that was a really big turning point for me. I went from never really wrestling in main events, and then I was getting to wrestle main events with Diener. And so, and every time it's got to be different, and we might wrestle 6 times in a row in front of the same crowd with the same people. So like, they have an expectation of what Tirva versus Diener is going to be like. So I think that's something creatively that's really come to a different place for me as a performer, is knowing that when I get in there with this guy, I know what he's going to bring. So it's always like, I want to bring that next level as well. So I think that's part of why, like, always being able to push each other. That's what Rock Solid, like, that's why there's that different little twang at Rock Solid, is because we're always trying to be that next level. And sometimes we're just being able to do it in front of brand new people every time. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And another company that definitely has another little bit of different twang to it, as you said there, also involves Diener, and I buried the lead in the last word there, but Impact Wrestling. We recently saw you make a big splash there in your hometown of London, Ontario. How did all this come together? Because this wasn't just like, okay, like we're going to take a look at Tyler here, maybe give him a dark or something. Man, you were the center of attention going in here. So I got to hear the backstory about this, and I want to hear your mind frame about it as everything's being told to you what's going on.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
B, I didn't know what to expect going into it, because I didn't know exactly. Because so going into things, you're like I didn't know there was a press conference until a couple days before. And then when you're at a press conference, you've never had a press conference before. So you don't know what to expect from a press conference. So that's completely different. So to even just see the match graphic for the press conference, I was like, okay, well, this is kind of real now. And then, it went really well. Like it was really cool to do a press conference live. Santino Marella was he was the MC or the host of it, with George Mendez was there too. And then, we had the good hands. So that was Brian Myers, John Schuyler, and then Jason Hotch, the three of them, as well as myself. We were all in a press conference helping hype the show as a last minute push. They were really happy with how things went. They were looking for a certain number in terms of views on their social media platforms within a 24-hour time frame, and they ended up hitting that. So they were super excited about that because that was the first time that they had done it. And then, I got the opportunity to have two matches. So a match with Jason Hotch the first night, who was able to defeat him via the sunset flip, which was nice and dandy. And then I got to get in there and tussle with Brian Myers for the second night. So he got the best of me, and it was cool, man. Like, I came out and I've been booed in my hometown of London. I've been booed since I started wrestling there. I've had one match where I wasn't booed, and that was the first one about 12 years ago. So when my music hits and I come and I step through the curtain, I'm like, are they going to cheer for me? And then, but with having that social media push behind it, having the press conference, like, it was definitely like a completely different vibe. So they brought, like, the fans brought it. It was really cool. It was literally in the entrance. Like, I was able to take a second, and because I always go up on the rope and open the cape. And so in that moment, I really got to, like, take a second and soak everything in. So that was nice to really just be able to take my time, calm my nerves a little bit. And then from then on, the bell rings and then it's go time. So it was so cool.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I love that they got behind you. I love that you got that opportunity, especially with the press conference. Like, that's a totally different animal. You know what I mean? Like you said, that's not something that you get to do a lot of, especially on the Ontario scene here. So for that opportunity, let's talk about Brian Myers a little bit, though, because I think Brian Myers is one of the best hands in the business. He just gets it. Everything that he does looks fantastic. He knows how to play a crowd. Wonderful. I know he might not be the nicest person to deal with on the screen, but was he helpful in giving you any advice throughout the press conference, or even like just learning from him in the ring? Like, what was some of your big takeaways being around such a great mind like Brian?
Well, what was cool is I got to actually mention to him how I wrestled him I had a match on SmackDown in 2010, and he was on the other side in the tag match. So that was kind of cool. So I was able, so it kind of comes full circle, like, wrestled him there, wrestled him in Impact. So I think we had the match ended up being 8 or 9 minutes. I believe it was 9 bell to bell. And so that was cool. But no tips in the press conference, just figure it out, feel it out. And you just feel it. Like, you're being asked questions constantly. So quite a few of the questions were directed to me. So yeah. And with having 3 guys on the other side, the good hands and whatnot, like, it really had to figure out how to bring it and make a strong presence from my own side, because there's only one of me and there's 3 of them, where it's easier to vibe and roll off of each other. But I think that's where I was able to just show essentially where I think some of my value is, and that's just always being a pro all the time. So
absolutely.
But speaking of being a pro all the time, I guess, since he's the most professional wrestler, he definitely is great help, good guidance, great feedback. And he definitely knows what he's doing when he's in there. That's the reason he's an Impact, and that's the reason why he's one of the top guys in wrestling as a whole.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of Brian Myers, and I think he's criminally underrated in the business. You mentioned that they were happy with the social media numbers. They hit the numbers there. How was the feedback from the in-ring performance? Did anyone pull you aside back there and tell you good job, or give you any advice or anything? Like, anyone welcoming in the backstage area there?
Yeah, I got really good feedback. My producer, the one match, was Chris Saban, and he was super happy with how he was my producer for the one with Hotch. So yeah, he was very just said, like, you hit certain camera angles well, and things like that. So yeah, it was great feedback of essentially just being told you did a good job. There wasn't much negative whatsoever.
That's good.
So Yeah, it was cool. Like, I wish I had more to answer with it. It went well.
I mean, if Chris Saban's
I did
telling
my
you did a
job.
good job, right? If Chris Saban's telling you did a good job, then there's not much else you need to be heard of than that. He's an unbelievable talent, right? So,
Absolutely, that
but
guy.
this wasn't your
He's
first
ageless.
time. Oh, absolutely. X Division champion right now. Like I just saw them in Destiny Wrestling not too long ago. They worked Flight or Fright there, and what a match they had. And I'm a big tag team wrestling guy, so anytime I can see the machine guns in the ring, it's just heaven for me, man. Heaven for me for sure. But this also, it wasn't your first time doing some work with Impact Wrestling. You're part of the Gut Check series a couple of years ago there. What was that experience like? Because you always hear that the Gut Check, they like to put you on the spot and make you think on your feet and get you out of your comfort zone. What was your experience like with Gut Check?
Honestly, I've always had to be on my toes for all the opportunities that I've gotten. So a lot of times I've just been told 30 minutes in advance of a show that I'm wrestling for Impact and whatnot. So like if from a wrestler standpoint, you need to be ready like 4 or 5, 6 days before you show up. So your mindset doesn't start when you get to the building though, because you're helping. You might be helping out with all different things. Say you help set up chairs or the ring, whatever it may be. Just to lend a helping hand, and then when it comes to showtime, like you got to be ready. So, excuse me. Sometimes it's always on short notice. So Gut Check is a completely different format. It started with there's about 50 people or more. I want to say 50, 57, something like that. It was like the original amount, which then turned into 12. And I think there was only 8 in the filming. There was only 8 people that were shown. So it was actually done over a series of a lot of days. And then the finals, that was actually in Atlanta. And so we were the opening match of the night. And here you got all your nerves. You got bigger opportunity. You're in the finals of this Gut Check. The winner gets a contract, and then go to step out the curtain, and they go, "Oh, hold up!" And that was because there wasn't a lot of fans in the crowd yet. Because at the time, this 2020, it was the week before COVID hit. Oh. President Trump was actually going through the freeway, so they blocked off all the freeways in Atlanta. So the fans didn't show up for. Like most of the fans didn't show up for like another 30 to 40 minutes. So we were actually sat my gear on standby for 45 minutes before I walked through the curtain thinking I was out next. So just when you think you're prepared, you're now going to have more time. And then you also have to then still stay in that same mindset, still be ready and still have your body ready and whatnot. So you can, there's I'd like to say, hey, this is a pretty cut and dry and it's X, Y, and Z, but there hasn't been any opportunity that I feel like it's been like that.
Yeah, no, and you know what though? Like it's the moments like that get you prepared for the next moment, like the press conference, or going out and having to cut a promo at a show to stretch for time. Like all that stuff is what makes a better performer, right?
Exactly, and that's also, in my opinion, that's where you find out who the real pros are too. Like I had one of the Impact matches that I had in. I think I had 45 minutes notice. Another time I had half an hour and my gear was out in my car, which is a 5-6 minute walk. So you're going from that to being ready, and you gotta hope you look good.
Yeah, 100%.
But have to put on some self tanner. There's a lot of process to some of these things depending on who you are. So it's if you like from a performer standpoint, like people think that it's cut and dry, and you think what it's going to be like and how it's going to go. Like it's not. That's it. And that's why time is so important in wrestling. Like the timing of an opportunity really matters, because you can think you're so prepared, and then when you get that opportunity, it doesn't always go the way you wanted, but it's not always if it went the way that you wanted. It's how you rolled with it when things went south. And so, that's I'm really fortunate walking away from all the opportunities that I've had. With Impact Wrestling, like I've never felt better about things, especially with how London went, because I felt like I left everything out there. I showed them who Tyler Tirva is, whether it was at a press conference, whether it was in front of Jason Hodge or in front of Brian Myers, and then even like the fans, we had them rocking. So it felt pretty good to leave that little stamp on everything, and hopefully we got big things coming.
Well, I hope so too. I was just gonna say, I hope that's not the last that we're seeing of you poking around with Impact Wrestling there. We're seeing a lot of my favorite talent, kind of doing work there. Jody Threat just signed on with them, and we got Reverso doing a bunch of work with them up there. Big fan of both those guys, and I just think that it's such a great vibe and a great fit for you and what you do in there. And watching you in there with Brian Myers, you look like you belong in there, man. So keep doing the great work with that, man. We love seeing it. We're all proud of you, the work that you're doing there.
Thank you so much, Tyler Squared.
I definitely want to talk about another big opportunity that you had there, and it was actually one that I was sitting in the front row for. Was AEW.
Oh yeah,
you did some work with AEW there. What was the overall vibes like backstage for AEW? Because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you did the Rampage taping, right?
Dark
with the dark. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was Rampage. I think it was the Rampage night, but yeah,
it was the Rampage
AEW
night.
Dark. Yeah,
you guys worked in there with the Dark Order, which was super cool. What was the backstage vibe like for you? Because we saw a lot of Ontario talent get to shine there. So was it a fun time back there for you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Catering wasn't too bad.
I've heard that.
Yeah, catering wasn't too bad. We got yelled at the one night because we ran out of protein, I think, because there was more people backstage than what was expected. So so a few people that night didn't get to eat, but but yeah, backstage honestly it was a good vibe all the way around. What was pretty sweet was talking to Jerry Lynn for like 15 minutes and just finding like different answers to different questions that I'd have from a performer standpoint with Jerry Lynn, because that guy's been everywhere, done everything. Like he's absolutely fantastic, and like he's just so good at making others better, which it blows my mind that more. I feel like it almost seems like more people don't tap into those opportunities because there is so much talent backstage. At the time, William Regal was there as well. So he held court with a lot of the wrestlers, just giving everyone different advice and whatnot, which is a very William Regal thing every time, whether you've been in backstage WWE in the past or AEW, like it's a really common thing with Regal. Like he's a true pro where he really shows like how to help, and he wants to help people essentially elevate their game if that's what they're looking to do. But yeah, the vibe backstage, it was fantastic. So it was pretty cool to have. Yeah, I was in the 8-man tag. Yeah, I guess the Dark Order there.
So now I got to ask the hard hitting question then, and this is one that I'm sure everybody's dying to know the answer to. But who's got the better catering? Is it AEW or is it the WWE?
WWE, hands down. It wasn't a question. But I heard that at Forbidden Door, I heard that there was like shrimp and different steak and whatnot because there was different talent that had come from overseas for that one. So apparently they pulled out all the stops, but I wasn't at that one in Hamilton. So it's definitely WWE, because it's also like you can literally keep eating like all day as many times as you want, and it's great, and you never get in trouble for it, so that's great. So they just tack that onto your pay. It's like, okay, you get paid X number of dollars, but you also get unlimited food,
and you got the doggy bag of chicken breasts on the way out too, right?
Oh, exactly. The amount of dessert at that one is astronomical. Like at the WWE catering. Yeah. It's great. Like I remember, because I'm not a dessert guy, but Joe Coleman of A La Beefcake.
Okay,
yeah. So him and I did extra work the one time and drove down together, and we did like a 3-show loop. It was like, I think it was like Cleveland, Columbus, and then Grand Rapids, and it was great. That guy just like he ate like 3 pieces of cake the one day. And we wrestled. I think we got in ring the next day and had like tryouts, but like here I am all self-conscious. Like I'm like, oh, I can't eat that because like it'll make me look shitty. But he's like, I already had 2.
He's getting in the ring with chocolate sauce on his face.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's tremendous. Like by far though, hands down, WWE's catering is like it's yeah, I'd pay to eat theirs. It's good. It's
That's
good.
amazing. And you've done a fair amount of work with the WWE now. You mentioned working with Brian Myers. I know that you've been a Rosebud as well. What are some of your favorite things that you've done with the WWE?
Man, I never say the story, but I was Sting.
No way.
I was Sting in I've told this story twice. So now a few more people might hear. So I was Sting in the build up to Sting versus Triple H going into WrestleMania
No kidding.
You'd never be able to tell it was me because of the distance. So lights go out in the entire arena, and then Triple H is in the middle of the ring, and then a spotlight hits in one of the in like one of the corners of the arena, and there's a Sting appearing. So the first one, that one's me, and then lights go out. It's a Monday Night Raw in Cleveland, and then boom, lights shine at the other end of the arena. That was John Moxley's trainer at the time. Light goes out, and then boom, the show lights in the middle of the ring go on, and then Sting's right there in front of Triple H in the ring. And then Triple H drops to his ass and like crawls away, and he's got the bat like pointed towards him. But yeah, so I was the first Sting.
That's so cool.
What was cool, so not only is like, okay, cool, you got to like beat Sting, but like I'm standing there with a spotlight on me, and the entire arena thinks I'm Sting. So I got to feel a Sting pop.
Wow.
So like the whole place is like going nuts. Like
that's the real deal. Cool. Yeah.
The crazy thing is lights go out, boom, then I got to run away. But like all these fans want to try and chase you. So that was crazy. So there was a security person with me that was pretty close by, but then I'm just like running through the corridors looking like Sting, and they're like, "Oh man, nice costume!" Like, because people just thought I was like at first was a regular fan, so I'm having to hang out and like,
oh, that's so cool,
kind of be nearby. So I was when we had walked up to the spot, I was like a minute early. So the guy was like, "Oh, just go in and pee, but don't take pictures with anyone." The second I go in to pee, 4 people, "Hey, can I get a picture with you?" Of course I want to, because it's all like I'm wearing like a legit wig and the paint, and I've got the t-shirt, the cloak, the gloves, like I've got everything. So anyways, it's great. And then the guy's like, come on. I was like, well, fuck, you can't send me into a bathroom with a bunch of dudes like and 100%. Expect them not to want to get a picture with Sting.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so awesome, man.
Oh yeah. So I got to experience a Sting pop, which is
insane. You get the goosebumps going on that one for sure, right?
Oh yeah, it was cool.
Especially that time period too, because that's right when he first came in. He'd only been in the company a couple months. It's the build to his first match. Like, wow, that's definitely a moment you won't forget. And even just like probably the lead up to that, like setting up the spacing and like getting to see like production side of it and how that giant machine works, like all that stuff is stuff that just to be a fly on the wall, the amount of stuff that you probably learn. I'm sure maybe Vince was hands-on with that one because it's a Triple H segment. I don't know. Maybe I'm just speculating, but that must have been pretty cool to watch that side of it as well.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. Like the one time when MGK got powerbombed off the stage from Kevin Owens, the one extra, he got paid extra to get powerbombed off the stage 9 times. I was really glad it was me. I was in a really nice suit that day. So Road Dogg picked me to go shoot a commercial with Kane. So me and another guy got to shoot a commercial with Kane while Triple H and Stephanie were the producer of this. It was just like, I think it was once WWE Network was when they were doing for $9.99, they were doing that whole gimmick. Yeah. So he like Kane just like hooks us for a choke slam, or we're both standing on boxes and we just like do this and then squat. And I got paid like an extra $150 that day. So that's pretty cool.
There you go. That's all right.
That was just the bonus. That was just the commercial bonus on top of everything. So I was like, if I would have got the same, I don't have to get powerbomb 9 times off the stage because I'm not MGK. Okay. Yeah, I'm good. I'll go shoot this commercial.
Do you ever like take a moment and like, as a fan of the business, like I know like when you're there, like whether it's WWE, Impact, or AEW, like you're working and it's professional, but do you ever get like the inside fan of you take a step back and just like look around and go, holy shit, like this is really cool. Like I'm doing a segment with Triple H and Sting today, or I'm in the ring with Brian Myers, or is there anybody that you've worked with like on top of that you're just like, wow, this is really cool for me?
Honestly, for me, that's not a thing. That I've never been that way.
Yeah.
I've only ever gotten pictures. I've only asked for pictures with like 3 wrestlers ever. And it's just, for me, that's just not a thing. Now, the only time in my life I was speechless, it was random. It was the day I had my SmackDown match. Jericho came out. He had just come out of like a side locker room and he was tagging with they were Jericho. So him and Big Show at the time. And so he just came out of the room. And so I was like, oh, I'm Tyler. But then I like froze and didn't say anything else, but it wasn't because I was like starstruck. I just didn't know that. I didn't know someone was coming out. I was by myself. I was actually like, I had hairspray in my other hand because I was like doing my hair, getting ready for my match. But I could have shot. He wasn't doing anything, so I could have shot the shit with him then, and like got some good advice. And at the time, that would have been, I was like 3 years into the business. So like I just wish I would have, looking back, I would have taken that opportunity. But honestly, like I've been pretty fortunate, like with all the opportunities that I've had, I've like really taken the time rather than soaking it in. My mindset is that I'm working. And so if you're soaking it in, you're not working. And in my mind, you should be working and networking and trying to get to know different people. And I want to get to know every person that's there that's also an indie worker. And I want to know everyone I want to know every referee. I want to ask production something, because if I can figure out any portion of like where I can learn or essentially like even where I can help out, like I would love to, because that's essentially like how the machine runs. But
and you got to think about it too. Like those production guys, like they know how to make you look good, right? Stand here and do this instead of like that. That's the mind frame that I don't think a lot of people bring to the table as well, is talk to everybody, learn everything. I love that you come in with that approach. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. That was ingrained in me from day one from my training. So that's like, I've tried to put that into most aspects of my life. So now we just got to keep building on opportunities.
Oh, that's it for sure, man. You've done so much in your career. For anybody that's been living underneath a rock, maybe a rock solid, throw a little terrible pun in there, but I'll go with it. And they've never seen you perform before. If we went into YouTube right now, or even just off the top of your head, what are some matches that you would recommend people to check out to get the full experience of the Saturday Night Delight?
If we're going with recent, I just had the one with Del Bruno, and it was for Greektown Wrestling the night before, the night after. I wrestled Bryce Hanson, Greektown Wrestling. That was, both matches were extremely loud. The crowd was going crazy. Anything Tyler Tirva versus Cody Diener, from whether it's Rock Solid or Crossfire Wrestling. I don't know. I've probably wrestled 15 to 20 different promotions on that match, but yeah, those are, if you want to see the best of Tyler Tirva, you just, type it in Tyler Tirva. It's going to show up dapper, dimpled, dangerously delicious, and it's going to be Mr. Young, Finn, stupid pretty. So
I love that. And I'm sure that we are going to see the best Tyler Tirva at punches, pile drivers, and pinfalls on Saturday, August the 19th. Rock Solid Wrestling is going to be on fire, rolling into Kirkland Lake. 100% of the profits going to the community living Kirkland Lake. Tyler, before I let you go, I want to end on two notes here. The first one, please plug all your social medias. Let people know where they can find you.
Absolutely. So I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and all of them are at Tyler Tirva. So TYLER TIRVA. And feel free to do a follow, drop a like, and then if you for whatever reason need to reach out for anything, if you're wanting to know anyone for different bookings and whatnot, I'm always open for more business.
Love to hear that. The last question that I want to ask you, I like to end all my interviews on this note. You've done a lot of incredible things so far in your career, and I know you've told some great stories today, but are there any moments that just you look back on, it just makes you smile? Could have been a great match, a great fan experience, a professional accomplishment, just something that you're very proud of and just makes you personally happy?
For me, it's my entire body of work. I feel like I'm most proud of. I don't feel like there's ever been a point where I felt like I let myself get stale. I feel like everything's been a build. And so right now I'm actually getting, I'm personally getting the most out of every single match and every single interaction that I have, not even just with other wrestlers, the conversations that I'm having with new fans at shows, whether it might start with them giving a compliment of, oh man, like I thought you were great, or, but then like that, the conversation always turns a sharp left, and we end up having just like a really neat bond. Like there's a lot of neat things happening right now for me, and I don't know how to describe it in words, but it is the reason I keep going. And it's the reason why I continue to keep working hard. And I genuinely just love wrestling with my entire being, because when I'm in there, I feel so invincible. It's the same as when I'm talking with you, talking about wrestling. Like, this is like, I do this because I love it. And I feel like people can feel that from me. And so that's all I've ever wanted to get out of it. So that's why this is everything I'm putting into it.
I love that. I absolutely love hearing that. And, I say it all the time on this show. There is something special happening up in the Ontario scene, whether it's Northern Ontario, Southern Ontario, the border towns, it doesn't matter. Something special is happening here, and you're a big reason for that. We want to keep wishing you the best of luck, man. Not that you need it, because you're on fire right now. Hopefully
we always need luck, Tyler. We always need luck, brother.
Hopefully we're going to be seeing you get another run with Impact there, or maybe some more work with AEW. It doesn't matter. Any company would be lucky to have you, man. Congratulations on everything, and we look forward to keep seeing what the future holds for you, man.
Thanks so much, man. And thanks for taking the time to have me sit down with you. It's been a pleasure. It's fun.
Well, and on behalf of T Squared here, and you too, Mike, I guess, you have been counted out. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Rock Solid Wrestling makes its way back down the Mile of Gold and returns to Kirkland Lake, Ontario for the first time in 4 years. Saturday night, August 19th, live from the Northern College Athletics and Wellness Center, it's a night of fights in support of community living Kirkland Lake, featuring Canadian heavyweight champion Scotty the Body, Cody Diener, Crystal Moon, Tornado, and more. Get your tickets online at rocksolidwrestling.tickit.ca or in person at the Pronto store on Taylor Avenue. Rock Solid Wrestling is back in Kirkland Lake, Saturday, August 19th. Don't miss it.